Hi, am I audible? If someone can give me a thumbs up if I'm audible. Okay, thank you, Kriti. So it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Surbhi Sethi to you all. We've had a session yesterday, but I'd be briefly introducing you again so that our participants. Dr. Surbhi Sethi is a researcher and consultant working at the intersection of education and AI. She has worked on personalized and cognitive impact of AI chatbots, and she's also authored a book on blended AI learning. And there are certain patents also in the pipeline because she's working extensively in this space. Today's topic for the expert discussion with Dr. Surbhi ma'am is Gen AI in the classroom, exploring capabilities, prompts, and ethical pitfalls. So I think the ethical part of it is something that we're gonna finally go towards. So really excited to see you. Over to you.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much, Labisha, for that gracious introduction. It is my genuine pleasure to be back here again with all of you to continue this important conversation. So I'll start with pull off my PPT. Is it visible?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. So the topic of my talk is Gen AI in the classroom, and we'll be exploring its capabilities, how to communicate with it through prompts, and very importantly, the ethical pitfalls we must all navigate. All right, so here is our roadmap for the day. We'll start with the understanding of the new ecosystem. This is like what is really happening in the generative AI in education space. Second, we'll explore the core challenges and our response. So this is where we'll confront how this new reality is directly impacting education. We'll look at the real world data on how AI is being used across different professions, including our own, which is education. And third, we'll spend a good amount of time on the promise and what are some of the pitfalls of AI in education. So this will give you a very balanced perspective. And fourth, we'll move from theory to practice because we need to build AI literacy. And this is the core how to section of this workshop. And we'll define what a comprehensive AI literacy actually is. And finally, we'll conclude by charting a responsible path forward. So we'll talk about foundational policy ideas, the challenges of this work from the rapidly landscape to the urgent need for teacher capacity as well, because it is very important that we train the teachers and the institutions and make a policy institution wise, of course, at the state level, at the district level, and at the institution level. Okay. So when we say AI, what are we actually talking about? It's very crucial to actually understand that we are not talking about only one single thing. We are talking about a very vast, a rapidly growing AI ecosystem. So this diagram, as you can see on the screen, while it is almost impossible to read, it's useful because it shows the sheer scale and diversity of our tools which are out there. You can see like text generation, that's your ChatGPT, Gemini, and everything. And then you have this image generation like Midjourney, DALL-E, and Nano Banana. And you have tools for creating avatars, you have tools for creating videos, synthesizing audio, and even writing code. So this is a universe of very specialized tools, and it is actually expanding every single day. But more importantly than the individual tools, there are the power structures that underpin this entire ecosystem. On the right, you see the real players. You have Microsoft, which is deeply partnered with OpenAI. You have Google, which is developing its own models like Gemini and has also invested very heavily in another key player, which is Anthropic. So you have Amazon Web Services, which is partnering with companies like Stability AI, and you have this global giants like Baidu in China, who's building their own parallel ecosystem, DeepSeek. So there are like these different companies. So why does this matter to us as educators? Because it matters because it tells us that this is not a niche academic field anymore. This is the central, you can say, arena of competition for the largest and most powerful corporations of the world. And the level of investment is commendable, it's staggering, which guarantee that these tools that they are making will only become more and more powerful and more accessible, more equitable maybe, and more deeply integrated into the very fabric of our lives, our digital lives, particularly, if I can say. So we are not just adopting a new software or new app, we are actually plugging our classrooms into this massive, competitive, and commercially driven ecosystem. So to really understand the moment which we are facing right now and which we are in, it is very crucial to recognize that the idea of computers to enhance education is not new at all. So in fact, the story of AI in education is a very long and fascinating story because it started with Alan Turing in 1956 and also Dartmouth College in the United States. Because this timeline you can see, this will give you a sense of a parallel journey. So you can see on the top, you see the famous milestone of general AI. It starts in 1950 with Alan Turing test, the foundational thought experiment about machine learning, machine intelligence, and intelligent systems. So then you have the coining of the term artificial intelligence in 1955. You can see the creation of early chatbots like Eliza in 1964, which could, Eliza could stimulate a conversation with a psychotherapist. And then you see the famous moments like IBM's Deep Blue defeating the Garry Kasparov in chess in 1997, and Google's AlphaGo, which defeating the world's best Go player in 2017. So these were moments that captured the public imagination. But now, if you look at the timeline, I've added along in the bottom, at the bottom. So this is the very specific history of AI in education. And you can see that for almost every major development in AI, there was a corresponding um, effort to apply it to learning. As far as back in 1950s, many researchers were exploring how to use computers for teaching. And the first intelligent tutoring system, which is considered as a landmark, and which was a system that could teach a student about, say, South American geography, and it could ask questions and provide feedback. It was very like revolutionary at that time. But as we move forward, you can see the introduction of systems like LX in 1998, which actually brought the idea of personalization in education, adaptive learning pathways to particularly mathematics education. And then in 2008, we also saw the rise of MOOCs, massive open online courses, so which began to use AI-driven features for like peer assessment, for providing feedback at a massive scale. And of course, now in 2022, with the public release of ChatGPT and other generative AI models. So it was the revolution of 2022 was not the invention of AI. I want to mention that because it was a moment that was very powerful, and it was like a general purpose AI was made instantly, and it was made freely to every student, every teacher on the planet, and that suddenly actually democratized access is what changed everything. So in 1960s and in 1990s, we can break down the history actually. You can see on the screen, there are few distinct eras. So with its own philosophy, with its own technological approach. So this helps us understand that not just with what the technology could do, but what the pedagogical goals were at that time. So the first era from 1960s to 1990s was the era of early cognitive tutors. So these were the real attempts at creating one-on-one personalized and learning systems. So they were aimed at learners individually, but they had a very little actually adaptability. Then from the 2000s to 2010s, as computational power grew, we entered the era of data-driven adaptability. So for the first time, we could collect massive amounts of clickstream data from the Twitter, the digital breadcrumbs that students left behind as they interacted with the online platform system, birth of LMS. So this led to a whole new academic fields like research started on educational data mining, learning analytics. So researchers could analyze these patterns to provide much more sophisticated help and hints. So the systems could start to infer why a student was struggling because the data was collected on learning management system, and it could also offer more targeted support. So this brings us to the 2010 era to today, which can be described as a very human-centered AI, because the focus has been now shifted beyond just analyzing the log data, like whatever, if the student is struggling, if he or she needs a targeted support. Now researchers are analyzing multimodal analytics. So like tracking things like student gaze, eye tracker, facial expressions with a camera or tone of their voice to get a more richer perspective and picture of their what is their cognitive state, what is their emotional state. Is the student confused? Is he or she frustrated, engaged, or not? So that leads us to the very current focus, which is the conversation is actually uh, turning about human-centered and very inclusive designs which can enhance the education equity. So this is like, there's this critical difference in the entire history that was pre-generative and now it is post-generative AI in education. And as you can see on the slide, this ecosystem is no longer just producing tools for us to use. It's beginning to create AI entities that are designed to participate in the education process itself. So look at these examples. We see a news report from Ferris State University in the United States. So what they have done is they have introduced AI students into their classrooms. So these are not just, robots sitting at desks. These AI agents actually enroll in the class, and just like human students, and they participate in the discussion forums, they submit their assignments, they interact with the professor as well. We can just look at the video.
As Ferris State gets ready for its spring semester, the university is launching a new experiment centered around artificial intelligence.
News 8's Demetrius Sanders has more on this unique project.
Well, when students at Ferris State University return on Monday, some will have 2 new classmates, but they look nothing like the students you'll usually see walking through campus.
Ferris State University offers one of 3 AI undergraduate programs in the entire country.
We are a leader in the artificial intelligence area, and why not put us to the test?
Their latest test, the development of 2 virtual students named Ann and Fry that will enroll as freshmen at the university this upcoming spring semester.
So they're being held to the same standard that a student online or a student in that classroom would be held to.
Ann and Fry will start by taking hybrid general courses.
They will receive all of the syllabi for the various courses that they take. They will not only interact with assignments with their professors, but they also have opportunities to interact with other students in the class.
To make decisions like choosing a major, the experiences of human students within Ferris State's artificial intelligence program will play a role.
We had our artificial intelligence students talk about, some of their experiences coming in as freshmen, some of their anxieties coming in as freshmen, and we actually started to use a lot of those experiences as prompts for Ann and Fry.
Depending on which courses they choose, technology will be placed in a classroom that allows them to engage students and staff.
There'll be speech recognition, and they'll also have the opportunity to respond.
And this is an experiment with purpose. The data collected from Ann and Fry will help the university better understand the experiences of non-traditional students.
How do we challenge our faculty to teach in a way that may have to meet the needs of a student who's not going to be sitting there, 10 feet from them?
Thompson says the goal is for Ann and Fry to continue their education until they reach the doctorate level, but that will be up to them.
We know life happens. Circumstances could happen. They may change majors or they may decide to venture off into other categories.
Now, Thompson says that Ferris State does utilize robots, and at some point we could see Ann and Fry physically roaming through the hallways. In Big Rapids, Demetria Sanders, News 8.
Okay. Just so yeah, these were like agents. They're developing AI agents that can enroll in online courses just like human students, and they can participate in discussion forums, they can submit their assignments, and like the goal is like for developing this AI is to provide the professor also with the real-time feedback on the course, like how are they teaching, is it like identifying which concepts are very confusing and which parts of the lecture were unclear or where the students might be struggling. So in order to get that data, the professors are actually making it, and it's a very fascinating experiment in using AI as a feedback, so mechanism for improving teaching and learning. Moving on. Yeah, so this is about, this is the other side of the coin now. A company called Automens Institute, they have announced the world's first AI digital human teacher. So this is a very hyper-realistic avatar. We can also watch this video.
As Ferris State gets ready for its spring semester, the university is launching a
Hi, my name is Beatrice, and I am designed to provide personalized and interactive learning experiences. Among the things I can do, I can also adapt my teaching method according to your specific needs. You'll never have to worry about falling behind or getting bored with me. So, if you are tired of traditional learning methods and want to experience something new and innovative, join my webinar. I will be happy to answer your questions and help you overcome any challenges you may face.
Yeah, so this is like a hyper-realistic avatar of a teacher, which is designed to deliver lessons and answer questions and interact with students. So you can see the two sides of the coin, making students as AI and then teachers as well. So I'm showing you these two slides because they represent a very different versions of the future, because the Ferris model is about AI as a tool to augment the human teacher, to give them better feedback, better insights, and then the digital human as a teacher model, which points towards automating the human teacher. So which is potentially like replacing teachers. So both of these futures are now actually technologically possible. So as a society, we have to make a very conscious choice, like are we going to automate it or we are going to augment this. Now talking about bot friends, so this is the new ecosystem, isn't just about tools for schoolwork. So it's about a category of social interaction, because when we discussed about TPAC model, it tells us about teaching presence, social presence, and cognitive presence. So it is also important to have a social interaction and social presence. So we can now have access to a whole world of bot friends. So these are AI companions which are designed to be very friendly, helpful, and always available. So look at the example from, you can see Khan Migo. So the AI tutor company from Khan Academy. So this is a very fantastic example of a pedagogically sound bot. A student can ask like, can you just tell me the answer, and AI, can answer. Like, it is important that you learn how to do it yourself. You can see in the example, and what do you want to know, what do you want to learn. So this is AI designed to act as a Socratic guide to foster thinking, not just to directly provide solutions. And then you have this Pi, which markets itself as a Pi as a personal AI. It is their goal. So it says it is very useful. What are the reviews like? It's very friendly, it's fun. It's actually designed for very open-ended conversations, and like teacher provide you a guide or advice or companionship. Just like this, Pi's main focus is to provide advices and guidance. And of course, we have Snapchat, so which is used by like billions and millions of like teenagers every single day. So the interfaces for all of these are designed to be very fast, useful, and very conversational, just like chatting with a friend. So this is, as you can see, it's a very profound shift in like how the social and intellectual conversation will happen, or right now is happening. So for the first time, we have actually access to human tutor, homework tutor, non-judgmental, uh, not non-judgmental, maybe judgmental, but now AI can be a 24/7 conversational partner. It can be a non-judgmental tutor. So this has increased the potential of personalized learning and also reducing loneliness. And but it also comes with huge risk, because there's this problem of privacy, data leakage, and the potential of for developing unhealthy dependencies on the bot. So as educators, again, we need to be very like we have to develop a relationship with the students as well, and how to move ahead with these AI technologies, and we have to like teach them how they use it. Then this is another thing, group chat, where multiple AIs are there, and then there's human. So this is an example of circle chat, and it points towards a very uh, fascinating future for collaborative learning and problem solving. So you can see like there are many AIs, and what are they talking? I'm excited to dive into the topic of populist politics, and they will give one by one answer. So a human user is there, and he or she wants to have a very deep discussion about a complex topic. And as in the chat, it's mentioned populist politics and lessons from Spain's civil war. So instead of just talking to one AI, they are in a group chat with a whole team of specialized AI agents. So there's this AI journalist who is very analytical, who's detail oriented, and there's this AI who's a teacher who's very empathetic and open minded, and there's this also young AI student activist who is idealistic and energetic. So you can have a very pragmatic view and pragmatic view overall. You can also see like there's this businessman, cautious historian, wise, experienced trade union. So it will give you a very distinct persona and a unique point of view, and you can learn from these set of experiences. There are different tutors, different personas, so you can learn from all sort of viewpoints. So the student activist expresses like if the historian can bring the perspective of a very long term, like he or she can relate from the past to the present to the future. And this will help for this will maybe cultivate a sense of intellectual work. It allows to simulate a very high level and multi-perspective seminar. Also, we can also conduct a seminar in this way, or we can just send our paper and we can discuss our paper and can get the different viewpoints of different personas. So this is what it looks like from using AI as a very simple information retrieval tool to using it as a very sophisticated simulation of human discourse. So it's a very powerful tool to actually learn and think. So after the circle chat example, the concept of AI is moving beyond a very not just there's not a single monolithic entity into the idea of we are moving towards multi-agent systems or AI teams. So this was this article in Forbes, Google's AI co-scientist cracks decade-long research problems in 2 days. So it is a perfect example of corporate research world. It's a team of specialized AI agents, a generator, there's this reviewer, there's a ranker, all are working in together to accelerate the human scientific discovery. So what they did was they prompted with the same core question. You can see the video. So we can see there's the supervisor agent, generation agent, review agent, ranking, evolution, proximity, meta review agent. So what they did was the AI was prompted with the same core question that took researchers 10 years to address. Like the question was something like how certain bacteria or they can gain antibiotic resistance, and how it can be spreaded between species. And just because it was a decade-long research, but in using AI, in just 48 hours, it synthesized all the evidence that were there in the history, and it trained its data, and it designed all the experiments and proposed hypotheses as well, like that can match both published and unpublished findings from the human team. So, and one of this was not even, the team was not like one or two people were not that experienced scientists, and it actually based the new research framework, like how a non-experienced scientist can work with an AI to develop something new, novel. So the co-scientist, what they called as AI as a co-scientist, it's a collaborative tool. It generates hypotheses, it generates research overviews, it can generate experimental protocols that human scientists want to pursue and want to vet actually. You can see like 7 virtual agents which act with different team plays, different roles, and they combine all the thousands of papers and suggesting mechanism and prioritizing and producing results. Then on the other slide, we can see that Stanford, they actually created their own virtual scientist to solve complex biological problems. So what they did was, there was virtual scientist, as means team of AI specialist. There was this immunologist, computational biologist, and they were led by whenever we do a project, we have this principal investigator. So AI worked as a principal investigator to actually solve very complex problem and solve this complex biological problems. So these agents communicated in natural language because they use natural language, and they debated ideas, they retrieved the data, and they run all the computational experiments to document their reasoning for so that the human experts can review them. So the half of the thing was performed by AI. So human, not half actually, human intervention, what in the study was mentioned was just about 1% of the meetings, with the majority of brainstorming, planning, and everything was executed by AI agents. So why is this pattern as an educator we can see is very important for us to understand, because it actually signals a very fundamental shift in what we might consider a skill, because the skills of the future may be very less about having all the knowledge in your own head. And the conclusion was like, it is more important for being an effective conductor, or if you can just orchestrate all the AI agents, then that is the skill which is needed right now. So the most valuable human in the loop might be one who can, if you can define the problem, if you can assemble the right virtual agents that you have, and you can critically evaluate, and you have the critical thinking ability to evaluate the output which is produced by AI. So this has huge implications for how we think about group projects, how we think about research assessments and assignments, because like every day we learn about learn Excel, learn Python, how to do literature review. And so in order to develop the research skills as well. But this actually research was done to evaluate what skills now are needed in the future. So we have to prepare our students for this hybrid team framework as well, and we need to start thinking about what the pedagogy for the future will look like. Okay, so let's ground this again in the real world scenario, because who is actually using these tools right now? Because we discuss about ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude. So the Anthropic Economic Index, which gives us a very fascinating data. Economic Index from Anthropic was released in November last year, and they again updated this about a week ago, showing the extent to which we are using AI in a variety of different economic areas. Like how much are we automating, how much are we using it to augment. It's almost 50-50, and it hasn't changed in the last 6 months or so. But you can see in the slide, it provides a very clear breakdown. For each job type, you can see the percentage of conversations with Claude is shown in orange, compared to the percentage of workers in the US economy with that job type. From the US, they collected the data from the US of Labor's ONET category that you can see in gray. So the number one category which is using the AI models is computer and mathematical. So this is the developers and programmers who use AI to write and debug code. So it has become like, for them, it is like very important tool in the industry. And the second and most represented categories, as you can see, are almost is arts and media, because which includes writers, editors, and creators who are using AI as a brainstorming partner. And third category is us, education and library. So we are, as a profession, is one of the most we are like active adopters and earliest adopters in this technology. So this is a very critical piece of information, because it tells us that this isn't some abstract future technology that we can afford to wait on. It is here, it is in our field right now, and it also tells us that the primary impact of this technology is on knowledge work, on people who work with ideas, who work with language and with information. And that puts together as education, which is at the very right, at the epicenter of this transformation. And we cannot just look from the sidelines, and we have to adapt, evolve, and thrive with this technology. Augmentation of task versus automation of task. So as we know, we are knowledge workers, we are using AI, but how are we using it? This brings us to this chart from the Anthropic. This is again from Anthropic study, which gives a very hopeful signal. It shows that overall users are leaning towards augmentation, which is 57%, over pure automation. We're not doing, at least for now. This means that more often than not, people are using AI as a collaborative partner, not just as a tool to replace their own effort. And if you break down, the top bar is augmentation, which is composed of activities like learning. Learning means using AI to acquire new skills. Task iteration, which is if you are using it for brainstorming and refinement. And then validation, which is you can if you can check your own work. So these are actually very high level interactive uses. And the bottom bar, which is automation, is composed of directive tasks like, can you reformat this or provide a feedback loop? So these are more mechanical activities. So this data suggests that natural human inclination is towards to use these tools as a thought partners. However, like they also in their report, economic index reports, they mention like there's this risk of diminishing critical thinking. There's this real danger in automating workflows, and education is also being automated and not augmented very much in that context. So our confidence is that the AI can lead us to, can make us more critical guard as well. But we can also, in order to promote the critical thinking abilities, we have to learn how to use AI really well. So AI is not the future, it is here. It is not monolithic, as we have discussed in the examples. Many universities here in the United States, they're discussing about teacher as an AI, and student as working as a robot, as AI. And it is now actually an integral part of how our world works. And it is not magic. It does not happen without humans. Human in the loop is very necessary. It is not always accurate. It has biases at all the levels, and it is not neither good nor evil. It depends on how people use it. And the question is actually, who is empowered to learn with and about AI? So there will be students who will be taught the critical literacy to understand, critique, and creatively command these powerful new technology, but there will be students who will be very dependent on it. So before you use it, you have to understand it. Now, with that understanding, there's this doing nothing is not an option right now. In fact, inaction, if you're not taking any action, is the most dangerous path we could take. So we are facing a new digital divide. So old digital divide was there are no computers in school, there's no high-speed internet, not one-on-one devices. But now new digital divide is who is empowered to learn with and without AI. So if you are very capable, if you can learn AI, then you will be more ahead of others who don't know how to work with AI. So that's the new digital divide. So this picture represents the core of responsible strategy for AI in school and colleges. So before we rush to have our student use these all shiny tools, we have this fundamental responsibility to ensure that they know them, they understand them, and use it very ethically. And education is truly one of the best and only strategy we have. If we educate them, if we make them AI literate, so that will serve at least two purposes simultaneously. On the one hand, a robust educational about AI is the best way to prepare the student to actually thrive in a world with AI. So if we equip them with all the skills and competencies that will be essential for the future, so then they'll be able to move ahead, and they will be able to contribute something in the knowledge economy. And this is the argument in terms of economic relevance and future readiness. On the other hand, I believe there is far more important and very deep and critical education about AI is the best inoculation we can give them against its misuse. If they don't if they think about it as a vaccine, a student who understands the concept of training data and algorithmic bias is inoculated against blindly trusting AI, whatever the results it is producing. A student who understands how deep fakes are created is inoculated against failing for visual misinformation. And a student who understands that the business models of these tech companies actually and the issues of data privacy is inoculated against giving us our personal information, intellectual information. So we cannot simply hand our students these incredibly powerful tools without also giving them the critical framework about the AI literacy. And we have to understand the motivations, we have to understand the mechanics, and what are the societal implications. Okay, so because we are discussing about AI literacy, so, and it's a term we all hear right now, all the time right now. So what do you think, how do we need to teach AI literacy, and what do you think AI literacy is? So what you can do is you can just scan this QR code from your phone, or you can join menti.com and use this code 53942699. I'll give you 2 minutes to answer this. you have to define AI literacy. How will you define it? And I just want to understand, like, are we on the same page about what it actually means? And do we, everyone, like, do we define it in a very similar way? You can just type in a short definition or a few key concepts that come to your mind when you hear that term. What does it mean for you as a researcher, as a student, or as an educator? And like, what does it mean like to be AI literate in today's world? Okay, yeah, this is fantastic. Ability to understand, evaluate, and critically engage with AI. Come on, we have like 22 participants. Being able to use AI. I can give 1 more minute and then we can proceed. Dr. Prerna and Ritu, are you not able to scan the QR code and give the answer? Okay. Yeah, so finding solutions with the help of AI and Ritu, AI literacy refers to the knowledge, skills, and attitude that enable people to understand, interact with, and evaluate with the use of AI systems effectively, responsibly, and critically. Oh, okay, I see. Those who are not able to like scan the QR code, you can also join at menti.com. Go to menti.com and then you can just use the code 53942699. Okay, understanding how AI works, its uses and the limitations. Understand ethical nuances of AI. Yeah. So yeah, we all have a piece of puzzle and like the definitions are slightly different, but some of us are focused on able to use it, understand it, ethically use it, evaluate, and critically engage. Okay. Okay, let's look at some major educational, governmental, and policy organizations, how they are trying to share vocabulary around AI literacy. So this slide actually shows 6 different formal definitions. So while we don't need to read every word, I want you all to scan them around to find the common threads. Let's start with like the top left from Long and Megarko. So this was a foundational academic paper from 2020. So written before ChatGPT explosion. So they defined it as a set of competencies to critically evaluate AI and collaborate with it and use it as a tool. And it's a very fantastic, actually a very forward-looking definition that really holds up because they wrote it before the ChatGPT explosion. And you look at the top right corner from the Common Sense Media, so which creates curriculum for schools. So their learning goals are to understand what AI is, how it works, consider its benefits and risk, and think critically about how to be very responsible and ethical users, as many of you have mentioned. This is very practical and classroom focused. If you can just jump down to the bottom left from EU AI Act, which is a very massive piece of legislation. So their definition is focused on the rights and obligations of providers and users and the need for awareness about what are some of the opportunities, risks, and possible harm AI can cause. So this definition is basically rooted in safety and regulation. And one more you can see from EduCause in the center, which is a higher education technology organization. They say it involves understanding the fundamentals, critically evaluating the applications of AI tools, maintaining how you can use AI tools, and maintaining vigilance against bias and misuse, and having awareness about the societal impacts. So you can see the pattern here, like what do you think? What are some of the common ingredients across all these different perspectives? These are from academia, from K through 12 education, curriculum, from government, from higher ed. So what they seem to, I think it boiled down to 4 very key things. A truly AI literate person needs to understand that what is AI, how it works. So that is a very foundational and conceptual knowledge. Second is how we can use AI systems tools very effectively and responsibly. That is the practical and application based skill. Third is how to critically evaluate AI and its output. So that is like analytical skill, critical skill. Fourth is the ethics and the limitations, the societal implications, and the safety considerations. So that what makes a critical citizenship piece. First is the foundational conceptual knowledge. Second is the practical application-based skills. Third is analytical and critical thinking skills. And fourth is like you can be a very critical citizen. So this is what comprehensive AI is. It's not just about prompt engineering. It's a holistic set of skills and competencies that actually blend the technical perspective, the practical, and the critical and ethical as well. So teaching AI, teaching with and about AI, it is a very good consortium, and you can just read all the resources from them. They publish like monthly reports on how it is impacting educators, what the data is saying, and also like ethically, pedagogically, how AI can be evolved, how these technologies can be better cater to the higher education and school education system. So I have used this framework. The first stream on the left is teaching with AI. So this is what most people think of first. It's the practical hands-on application of using AI as a tool in the classroom for teacher support, for student learning, or for school operations. So this is where we talk about using AI as a personalized tutor, as a lesson planner, or a tool for creating assessments. Second is teaching about AI. So this isn't just using tool or prompt engineering. It's about understanding the tool. So this consists of foundational AI literacy for all the students. It's about like lifting the hood and understanding how actually it works, studying the core concepts of it from computer science, from data science, and social studies, everything that underpin it. And for the last couple of years, what we have seen here, the conversation has been dominated by the first box, because there's so much rush to adopt it. School is adopting it, students are using it. But I want to argue that we need to push it as much as on the second box, because we want to know how teaching about AI and how to use these tools, how to understand the tool, what is inside those tools. And that is a very effective AI strategy in education, which can actually blend both of them. So we use the tool, we critique the tool, whatever output it is producing, and we apply them, we analyze them. And I believe teaching about AI should always come before, and not before, but it can go hand in hand with teaching with AI. Now, Bloom's taxonomy, like traditionally, I'm not sure, I'm sure this is like very familiar to almost everyone in this room. It's worth taking a moment to actually reground what traditional Bloom was, and what if we incorporate AI in the Bloom taxonomy, what it will look like. So if we see in this classic pyramid design, it's a hierarchy of cognitive skills. It gives us a language for talking about the different levels of thinking and that we want to cultivate in our students. You can see in the very bottom of the pyramid, it's the widest part. We have the lower order thinking skills. So this starts with remembering, like just recognizing and recalling the facts. That is like a simple memorization. And above that, we have understanding, like being able to explain different ideas and concepts, not just knowing the date, but also explaining why a particular incident was significant. And then as we move upward in the pyramid, we enter the higher order thinking skills. This is where the true learning begins. Like first level is applying, using all the information that you have in the new situation, then taking a mathematical formula you have learned and actually using it in the real world problem. Above that, we have analyzing. So this is about breaking information into its component part to explore the relationships. So it's about looking at a set of scientific data, identifying the trends, and then even higher is evaluating. So this is about making a judgment based on a set of criteria. So like there are two different solutions to a problem, which is more effective and why it is more effective, and presenting your criticisms about a piece of literature which is based on the thematic analysis and character development. At the very top is, of course, it's a cognitive achievement if you can create. So this is about generating new ideas, products, or new ways of viewing things. It's about like designing your original experiment, writing a new piece of music, or proposing an innovative solution to a complex problem. So Bloom's taxonomy with AI is about, you can see, it presents us with a very profound and, frankly speaking, a very unsettling new reality, because the arrival of this powerful general purpose AI has, in many ways, it has actually flipped the pyramid on its head. So it can remember, generative AI, it can understand virtually the entire corpus of human knowledge. It can apply rules and frameworks with stunning speed and accuracy. It can analyze vast data sets and texts in seconds. So this means that if our assignments, our quizzes, and our exams are only focused on assessing these lower order skills, so they have now become trivial for any student with access to AI. So the old model of assigning a research paper and grading it based on the accuracy of the facts or the clarity of the summary is now fundamentally broken. So the real danger is is very profound. So if you look at the descriptions on the right side of the diagram, they highlight the immense risk of what we call meta outsourcing. So a student can now use AI to actually perform the task, at every single level of taxonomy, you can say, like without actually doing the underlying cognitive thinking. And at the analyze level, they can use AI to generate and break down the information without truly comprehending like what output has been produced. AI does the analysis and the student just copies it. At the evaluate level, they can use AI to form a very superficial judgment or opinion. A student can ask the AI like what are the main arguments for and against this policy and which side it's stronger. So an AI can produce a very well reasoned argument, and the student can just adopt it using like they haven't gone through whole document and the procedures, but they can form whatever judgment AI has produced. And the very top, you can see the create level. They can use AI to avoid the critical thinking skill as well. They can ask it to write a poem, they can ask it to draw a diagram or design a product, which can circumvent the entire creative struggle that is at the heart of any genuine creation. So this is the core challenge to authentic learning. We should and we must find the ways to design the assignments and assessments so that in order to prepare and evaluate it better, and so that human process, because ours is more important and based on evaluation and creation. So our job is no longer just to get the students to the top of the pyramid. It is to ensure that we get there, they have actually climbed the mountain themselves. Yeah. So given this, because this is a major hurdle and challenge, and if we have to, given the challenge of traditional assessment, the first conversation in every boardroom and every faculty room was about cheating. Because how do we stop students from just using AI to do the work? There have been of course, there are four responses to it. The first is to ban it. But this is a losing battle because everyone is using it, every student is using it. The second is to evade it, like invigilated exams are because evade as mean like moving to things like what like many faculties that they have suggested is to move things from in-person or invigilated exams. But these are very costly, these are very limited, and like many online courses are also there, and they don't assess many of the skills we actually now care about. Third is, it is very like, third and fourth is like adapt and embrace. So this requires us the hard work of rethinking our practice. So like there's this new method of assessment, there's new policies, make new guidelines, or involve a lot of trust in building like whatever AI is producing, whatever student is producing, are they citing it, not citing it? So it's about just embracing and adapting the AI technology. Plagiarism detectors don't work because the text that is being uniquely generated, they are not copied. So last week only Turnitin report was published, and the specific AI detectors have been proven to have very low reliability with high rates of, as they mentioned in their report as well, false positive, especially for non-native English writers. So it is actually creating a very equity issue, like to try to catch our students with a very faulty, biased technological fix is a losing battle. So if you go to adapt, I mean, because OpenAI also launched its own detector tool, Turnitin, and they're actually, because the non-English and English writers, they're not able to comprehend what is human written and what is AI written. So this means like a strategic combination is to adapt it. And that can be a combination of various policies and pedagogical shifts. So we must, what is written is amend our existing assessments to focus more on what is the process. And this isn't just a very theoretical idea. Educators around the world are actually doing it. I want to share a very fantastic example from a professor at the University of Pennsylvania here. His name is Ethan Mollick. So he's one of the leading thinkers in this space. And instead of just banning AI in his class. He has made its use mandatory in his class, in all the courses that he teaches. So he's done it with a very specific, and we all can follow as well, very specific and structured way that, like that can follow the amend, move to more, and every possible strategy. First, for amend, he did was he realized that any takeaway home essay was now compromised. You cannot just give students to do essays on their own. But for some assignments, he shifted to in-class written work. What we can ask the students to just, write here in the class. So this is about making assessments AI resistant, so that to ensure students are still practicing the core skill of writing and thinking under their own, under the supervisor's supervision. Second is to move to more authentic assessments. So his final projects, what he is asking are no longer just essays. He is asking about real world tasks. For example, he has his students use AI. He is allowing all the students to use AI to complete a go-to-market business plan for a new product. You can analyze the market, you can give the financial projections, and you can also pitch the whatever deck you have prepared. So AI is a very powerful partner in all of this, and so he is actually developing, if you use in conjunction with AI, it can develop the critical thinking skills, creativity of the students. And he has published a lot of papers on it, which are on SSRN right now. And but he also, and the third is like establish the clear guidelines. Yesterday I mentioned about his Substack post, which is one useful thing. So in that he provided a very detailed policy in a syllabus that he explicitly states how and when students are expected to use AI. So there's this framework very similar to AI assessment scale, which you can see on the right. So it was developed by Leon Furze. So this scale actually helps us to create a very nuanced conversation. So moving just beyond from a simple allowed or not allowed to a spectrum of use, like from you cannot use AI for certain tasks, or you can use this AI for brainstorming, or you can use it for like full partnership. And finally, he had to reassure and support students and explain how they should acknowledge their use. So there's a lot of citation material on how you can cite AI using like MLA, APA, citation index. So his details of, students are actually required to submit their work with an appendix that details the prompting process and reflects on how AI has helped them to achieve that output. So this conversation, actually, the shift from conversation using AI isn't cheating, but it's the part of our work. But failing to acknowledge that says is an academic integrity violation. So 7 principles for AI in education. These can act as a touchstone for any school or university or district who is developing its own policies. So we have principles like purpose, use AI to help all students, knowledge to promote AI literacy, agency to maintain human decision making. But we also have principles, you can see integrity, there's this compliance and evaluation. So this is a very holistic framework that balances the potential with the necessary safeguards. But the principles are not enough. We need to change our practice, and that brings us to the new rubric. So how we can design this for not traditional assessments, but the new assessments. So we are assessing what? We are assessing transparency. Like this is the rubric which tells like, did the student document how they used AI? Was it complete documentation? Have they submitted a documentation or no documentation at all? So we have to assess the critical engagement as well. So was there a thoughtful evaluation of the AI's output or not? Was it not accepted? Was it uncritically accepted? So we have to use this rubric to evaluate any answer sheet that student brings. Third is voice preservation. does the student used a clear personal voice, or has it been just flattened into AI generic speak? And then there's this ethical awareness. Does the student show a very sophisticated or awareness of the ethical use or not? And then we are finally AI as enhancement. So did the AI strategically enhance the project, or was it just a marginal support, or did it not support the learning at all? So this is the this is a very profound shift, because we are moving from assessing only the final product to now we have to evaluate the process and the critical ethical relationship that the student has built with the technology. So this is what authentic assessment looks like in the age of AI. It's very complex, it's yes, but it's also a richer and more meaningful way to evaluate student learning. Now let's revisit a topic that we discussed earlier, because it's at the heart of the AI in education space, which is personalized learning. And this is also the core of my work that I'm involved in right now on a project called as Personalized Education Using AI Chatbots. So everything you see in this slide is a promise that we are actually trying to build and realize. First is providing real-time personalized support to students. So in our project, we are designing a chatbot that doesn't just give answers. So it's built to engage students in a type of conversation that can reveal their thinking. For example, if a student is struggling with a math problem, instead of giving them the solution, our chatbot is programmed to ask a Socratic question like, what were you thinking? Can you walk me through a step? Or like, this is our attempt to actually what we discussed in Bloom taxonomy, is to get as close to one-to-one tutoring and try to realize that it can improve the learning outcomes of the students, and this is our major variable. Second is our aim is to prepare learning and pathways customized to learners' need. So what we are building is we are building a feature where the chatbot can analyze a student's answer based on few diagnostic questions, and then that can generate a very customized practice worksheet. So what we collected in the data is like, what are some of the challenges that you are facing in this particular like class 11th or class 12th high school mathematics, and then we collected the diagnostic questions, and so that with every student a personalized recommendations, a personalized in order to improve the learning outcome can be delivered. Like if a student is a fan of cricket, we also collected the data on that, like what is your hobby, what do you like. So it can generate a very set of like word problems about calculating batting averages. It's about creating a very individualized education plan or IEP for every single student. Third is we want to empower students by offering diverse learning opportunities, including the creative production of their own learning materials. If the student wants to add their own notes, or if they want to demonstrate their understanding in different parts, like whatever their strength is, and you want to add that. So we are also working on that, so that it can give diverse learners diverse learning opportunities. And finally, our ultimate goal is to support students with disabilities or specialized learning needs, because imagine a chatbot who's being able to instantly adjust to the reading level of a very complex science text, or it can provide a very text to speech function in a very calm steady voice. And of course it act as a patient non-judgmental tutor for a student who has anxiety and who is afraid to ask questions in the class. So this is our goal, to support students with disabilities or other specialized learning needs. So this is the promise that drives our work, and it's a vision of what we talk in sustainable development goals of more equitable, more responsive, and deeply engaging educational experience. Thankfully, we have this excellent guidance from global organizations like UNESCO, because their report on the future of education and their specific guidance on for generative AI are very essential reading for all of us, because one of the most useful framework was this when they developed this, like what is the role, what is the description and example of implementation. So these are the roles generative AI can play, like possibility engine. AI can generate alternative ways of expressing an idea, and they can use ChatGPT and other regenerate response function to examine alternative responses. So these are different roles that Gen AI in education can play. It can play as a Socratic opponent, collaborative coach, guide on the side. So we have discussed these ideas in detail, and I gave you all the practical yesterday as well, like how it can work as a personal tutor, co-designer, study buddy, exploratorium, motivator, or dynamic assessor. So by thinking in terms of these diverse roles, we can design much more creative, engaging, and pedagogically sound learning experiences. So it reframes the AI as a partner in a wide range of learning activities, and it puts us, the educator, as in the role of a director. You can choose the right AI for the right learning goal, whatever the learning goal that you have, because we've discussed in something like Claude is very better. But like for creativity and for deep research, Gemini is good. So we can choose and we can become the director, the educator can become the director and choose like what learning goal you have and what model you can use. Now coming to data visualization, I'll show you the examples how these models can be used. Data visualization, of course, is a game changer in how we can teach quantitative reasoning and make complex information accessible to all the students. So for decades, if you wanted to create a chart or a graph, you needed to know how to use a very specific, often clunky piece of software like Excel. And you had to know about what are the cell ranges, what is the formula, what is the chart type. But that created a barrier for a lot of students, and let's be honest, for a lot of us as well. But now tools like ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot, Claude, they can create these visuals directly from our natural language output. Just if you give a prompt, it will produce the output. So you can just upload a data set and like the CSV file. In this, it was mentioned what is the New York City air quality data. So simply just say, create a visual representation of the most important trends in this data set. And what is AI doing? It is actually analyzing the data. It is trying to understand the format, and then it generates a multiple relevant visualizations. So this is a very, in education space, we call a win for universal design for learning, because these visuals actually provide a more multiple ways for students to perceive the information, whatever it is producing. A student who's struggling with reading dense paragraphs of text or interpreting the complex tables can instantly grasp the core trends from a very well-designed graph that AI can produce. So it actually breaks down the learning barriers, and it makes the quantitative aspect more accessible to a wide range of learners. So let's be honest, you will never find an ostrich riding a bike on the highway in real life, I think. So this is about simulations. So like whenever we are in class, but if there's this curious student and he wants to learn physics, and after learning about force and motion, if he or she asks, could an ostrich actually ride a bike? And so in past, what happened was, that's a funny question, we cannot answer it, because how to actually present it in a very visual manner. So we would have to dismiss that spark of curiosity whenever a student asks question like this. But now we can say, this is a very brilliant question. Let's find out. What we can do is we can ask AI to actually produce this image or create this video. to actually realistically and scientifically plausible, simulation. So we can use it as a visual hypothesis to teach students so that the curiosity can be maintained. And it is a very incredible way to engage the student curiosity and to make abstract topics like physics, momentum, and everything, like in terms of business school, we can also like publish any talk ideas, or how does the workplace, like if the consulting business works, a student can be put in the role of a new manager and have to like navigate a very difficult conversation. And we discussed it yesterday as well, Copient AI, where you can use it as a role play. Or also it's very important for medical and nursing problem, because students need to learn how to handle the rare cases, but that requires a very critical emergency. So what we can do is we could create a text-based or even a very video simulation of a lab experiment gone wrong, or patient is presenting with a 1 in a million set of symptoms. The students, what they can do is they can interact with the simulation, they can make decisions under pressure and see the consequences of all their actions, whatever they want to take, in a very safe and repeatable and low stakes environment. So with all of these examples, I think AI is here to create a very experiential learning opportunities. So they allow our students to actually move beyond just learning about a topic, but start learning by doing things. They can create complex skills, make mistakes, they can learn from them in a way that textbook or lecture could never replicate. So of course, one of the biggest hurdles of any student with a great idea has been the gap between what they're imagining and their ability to actually present the idea professionally. A student might have a very brilliant concept for a new invention, but if they're not skilled artists, or they don't know how to use 3D modeling expert, so they get stuck at a very simple crude sketch on a piece of paper. So this can be really disheartening for a student, and this will stop the great idea to actually become a product or a design invention. But now with the usage of AI tools, so it's a game changer. They can just take a simple hand drawn sketch, no matter how rough that is. With a simple prompt, they can just give a simple prompt and turn it into a very realistic, professional looking image, or even a 3D model in a matter of seconds. You can see in Gemini, it generate a 3D vision of this drawing. It's a smart straw that can tell someone if the water is safe to drink. So they draw a very crude sketch, label it safe, unsafe, and upload it to an AI with an input. So this is an incredible moment of empowerment. Students can quickly iterate on their designs. They can generate 10 different versions of their smart straw and can pick which one is good, which one is the best. And also it is giving them the space to refine and improve, so that because it takes a lot of like weeks of painstaking work to actually come to a 3D version, come to as a 3D version of their drawings. So now other examples you can see on the right is from a very real university course from Professor Tony Trust. So he showed the amazing range of what's possible students have used in the university. So students have used this exact technique to design everything from the portable recycling bins that can move around the campus to a mobile app so they have developed this UMass Ice Watch. So that can warn about icy sidewalks, if there's this icy sidewalks here, to a system of heated mats like that can melt ice, or to a very new, more accessible ramps for campus building. So what I love about this idea is that it allows the students to actually focus on the most important part of the innovation process, which is the design thinking and the problem solving approach. They don't have to get bogged down in the technical skills of digital illustration. They can focus on identifying a real world problem, brainstorming the creative ideas, and effectively communicating their vision. So, this is a very powerful way to foster the skills of entrepreneurship, invention, and human-centered design in all our students, and regardless of their whatever artistic capability they have, but they are able to design it using AI. So let's start with this first one, investigating AI ethics. So should AI companies be allowed to train their models on copyrighted images and videos without permission from or compensation to the original artist? So like right now, this is also going very viral. Everybody is using Gemini. Previously, everybody used OpenAI, ChatGPT to generate their own Ghibli image. So this is a very huge ongoing legal and ethical battle. On the one side, the AI companies are here. They're arguing about, and they're engaging in fair. They're arguing that they are using it very fair use and similar to what a human artist learn and by studying the work of others. But on the other side, what we see is in the landmark lawsuits, they argue that the artists are actually arguing that their entire life work has been scraped. So because there was no consent from to build a machine that can now perfectly doing the same artist and imitating whatever style that they have, the artist has, and potentially they are putting them uh, out of job. So this is a very fundamental conflict over labor, creativity, and intellectual property rights. This leads us to the second question. Who owns the copyright of an AI generated image or video? So if I write a brilliant prompt and the AI generates a very stunning image, or who is the author? So am I the author or is the AI the author? So is the company that owns the AI, is it like the company who's owning the AI? So there's this United States Copyright Office, which has issued guidance on this, generally like stating that a work must have a human authorship to be copyrighted. But the lines are very, very blurred right now, and they are being tested in court. Third is, do these platforms democratize creativity? So this is a very optimistic argument, which is made by like people I mentioned, Ethan Mollick. He said it is yes. So this actually is giving a lot of power of creation to millions of people who actually uh, lack technical skills to draw or paint. But the counter argument from people like Leon was no, it is actually it is not democratizing creativity. It is just automating the production of whatever images, whatever aesthetically pleasing images that the artists produce, and it is devaluing the deep skill, the craft, and the intention that goes into the human artistry. Fourth is, this is where it gets really serious. It's about if an AI generated image, like a deep fake or a celebrity who's promoting a product, and they're not associated with it, is used, if their image, the celebrity's image, is used to mislead or misinform, so who should be held responsible for that? Is it the platform? Is it the developer who built the powerful tool? Or is it the individual who actually wrote the prompt? So this is a huge question of platform liability versus the responsible user, that our legal system here is struggling to answer. Last one is very like, how would you feel like if we imagine like someone used AI to make a deep fake of you, right? So this isn't a science fiction anymore or like a black the series episode. So high school students are actually facing a lot of and they are mainly actually because they don't have that they are creating this horrifying fake nudes of their classmates. And there's this article about Denmark, which shows that countries are now scrambling to create a new law to actually give people copyright of their own features. So we must ask our students to what is the impact of this technology, and should like these platforms and news outlets, so whatever they are producing. So there was this lawsuit as well on New York Times and how if AI is using New York Times articles, so people are not paying the membership of the news outlet services because AI can generate like what news was today. Can you summarize this news for me? So this is a debate about transparency over versus censorship. So what like labeling is also very important. Is it practical? Is it an ineffective solution? So these are not just simple questions. They are very civic, they are ethical questions for the 21st century. And we have actually a very profound responsibility to make them a central part of our curriculum. So now if you have any questions, you can ask, and then we can just take a break of 15 minutes and then we'll again start.
Any questions, anyone?
Yeah. Yes, please go ahead, Dr. Suresh.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, here some construction work is going on, so that's why actually maybe sometimes some background disturbances will be there. So my question is that, like you were saying, it will be giving the Excel sheets to ChatGPT or Gemini. So it will be basically able to describe all the details. Like suppose we want to run any regression, will it be able to do that?
Yeah, it is able to do that. So if you integrate, because Google has launched Google Workplace, and if you subscribe to it and add that in the Google Excel sheet, and on top of it, you can see the Gemini icon. And if you enable that and ask specific question, like you mentioned, regression analysis, and you run on the sheet, it will give you answer. But human in the loop, as I mentioned, is very important. So whatever the AI has produced, we have to critically evaluate it. Was it correct? Was it not correct? But the studies have shown that like 90% of the time it is correct. And it is able to run all the, not just regression, many other
Can we
advanced.
do this? Huh, thank you. Can we do this using this ChatGPT Pro or which one basically? Or
Gemini.
with this simple ChatGPT also?
Gemini is able to do it because it is able to integrate with the Google Excel sheets, Google Excel sheets. So like the top rank
So
is
is
of
there
Gemini
any
right
link?
now.
So there are actually all the informations.
Yeah, I can drop that link in the chat bot.
Okay, okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. It was nice presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, Bhadresh Kumar.
Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yeah.
I'm also interested on the same topic. Actually, I have been using the Google Workspace or Google Sheet, Gemini in Google Sheets. But as you mentioned, I was searching for the extra abilities or the extent of abilities what we can do with our data in Google Sheets. Can you just give me examples? Because when we upload a CSV file or our Google Sheet data, immediately the most obvious analysis it gives away right away. Like let's say for our literature review, we have our RIS file and we upload that, it can immediately give us the bibliometric analysis such as who are the top authors, which year they have, the topic has been published upon and all, everything like that. But in another case, let's say like for a logistic regression or regression analysis, such thing also can be done in Gemini. Do you have any use cases or any examples or any experience on this?
Yeah. So, because of course, because natural human language and it is a large language model, so they are able to do the literature review part, as you mentioned very correctly. And if you give a lot of training data, and because as I'm in yesterday's workshop, I mentioned about the prompt thing. So if you give a good prompt to it, it will be able to generate it. I don't have examples right now, but I can, like, in 15 minutes, I can search and prepare example. Also, I used to have a pro version of Gemini and included the Gemini and add on the enable feature. But right now, I don't have the pro version of Gemini to actually show you the correct thing in how you can integrate that in the Google Excel sheet. But I think if you give it a good prompt, and if you, like, with cells, proper cells, give dimensions, like which cell ranges it is in there, what do you want to solve, it will be able to give the answer.
Okay, okay, ma'am. That was clear.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Any more questions?
I think, Surbhi, the following questions can be taken up. Maybe if anyone has any questions, we'll be checking them on the chat box. And I think Ritu has posted something, but I think this was at 10:15. Okay, so I think we can break for lunch. Tea break, sorry. So should we get back at 11:20? Is that fine with you?
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. Yeah. Okay, then see you at 11:20.